1 second. Are you able to see my screen, right? Fine. Okay. So today in this session, we'll talk about this Ajax calls, how to make an Ajax call. Today we'll see about the Ajax call. So how to make an Ajax call in the jQuery. So with using the jQuery, how we can do it, let's try to see it. So you know about the Ajax. What is an Ajax? So you know what is an Ajax. So Ajax full form is asynchronous JavaScript ActiveX control. So Ajax can be done using a JavaScript object that is nothing but an XMLHttp object, HTTP request object. Okay, so using this object, so we'll try to make an Ajax call. So make an Ajax call means nothing but what we can do is we'll try to get the data from the server, okay, without loading. So without reloading the page, we will get the data from the server and will populate or will render the data, the same data in the browser. So that is the meaning of this one. So Ajax, why we used to perform this Ajax means, so whenever we refresh this page, so now once we got the response from the server, now we got the response from the server. If you try to see here, so we got the response. So this response we got it from the server. That's it. So now the connection has been disconnected. So now you know that as the, I don't know, are you aware of not? HTTP is a stateless protocol. So whenever a connection is established, it will make a connection. So it will get the data and it will give the response. That's it. So the relation between that request and response is completed. Now if you want to get again the data means you need to make again a new connection and you need to do it. So that is the reason. So you are having 1, 2, 3, 4. So these two are different. So 1, 2, 3. So that is the reason we are having 3 requests. So by getting the index.html itself, so here you will be having a main.js, jQuery. These all the things are there in this HTML only. Why can't we are not getting this all the data means? So first it will give you the response. Then afterwards you are asking about the jQuery, and then afterwards you are asking about the main.js. So like this one by one it will give you the response. Request and response model one is. So now, so these are all different things. So request and response and handling the HTTP protocols, these are all things comes under the application. Now this XMLHttpRequest request object. So we have seen about this HTTP request object, right? So if we want to get the data from the server, so now when we get the request, when we refresh this one, so that's it. So we got the response and the relation between the server and the client and the browser. Client means nothing but the browser. So it's finished, it's completed. Now if you want to get some extra data, additional data from the server, so what you need to do, again you need to refresh the data, so that if there is any additional data means the server will give you as a response. But without refreshing the data, you need to get the data from the server means, so using the Ajax call we can achieve it. So that is the usage of the main thing, Ajax. So now that one, so making the Ajax call can be done using the making an Ajax call can be done using this, what I can say, XMLHttp object. So this one, XMLHttp request object. By using this one, we can make an Ajax call. So this XMLHttp request object, so HTML/HTTP request. So this is an object. So it is one type of object present in the JavaScript. It will be present in almost all the browsers. It will be present almost all the browsers. It will be present in all the browsers. So this object will be present in all the browser APIs. Almost all the browsers means, so nothing but Internet Explorer, everything. In every browser, so you will have this XMLHttp request object. And we have another type of so going on. So this XML HTTP request object, if you try to do, this is somewhat what I can say is complex. Not complex. It involves lot of lines to be done, so to be written in order to make a request, and it is an event based thing. Event based means whenever we get an event, so based on the event we'll try to do it. But we have learned about the promises and all those things in the modern browsers. So promises has been introduced. So the promises and all those things, we keep by using the promises, we can also do the Ajax call. So underlying this one, so it will do this XML HTTP request only, but using the promises also we can do it. So this one is supported in the modern browsers. In almost all the modern browsers, these promises will be supported. And if you want to make an Ajax call, so we use the fetch API. Okay, so this API has been introduced. It is a promised based Ajax call. So we will be doing this one using a promised based Ajax call. Okay, so this is a promise based Ajax call, but the con of this one is it is not present in all the browsers. In modern browsers only it will be present. Okay, so and the pros of this one is, and the advantages of this one is, so it involves the less coding, and also it is a promised based thing. So that is the main thing. But here you don't have the, what I can say is so ready state change, how much of the, what I can say, ready status thing. So changing the status in ready state, done state, so request received, like this you will be having here. This one, like 1 2 3 4 stages you will be having, but here you will not have those all things. So some disadvantages are there, but it is a promise based thing, involves less coding. Now when it comes to the jQuery, okay, when it comes to the jQuery, so jQuery also uses the promised base calls using a method called $.ajax. So use a method something like $.ajax. So this is the call, we'll try to make it using this $.ajax. So this is the complete configuration we can give it, and here it will be using the something like $.ajax. Whenever you use this $.ajax, it will create a wrapper. Okay, it will create a wrapper around the XML HTTP request object. Okay, wrapper means nothing but what I can say is something like parent class. So let's say that this is a child class, so you will have a wrapper means, so this child class so we'll be extending a extra parent class, so that some wrapper, so some parent class will be there, so that you can have some extra functionalities which you can implement by using this XML HTTP request object. So that is the thing I want to explain. So it will create a wrapper. So jQuery will create a wrapper for the XML request object, and it is a promised base. So it will convert this one into a promised base, so that you can use the promised base thing. So this is the brief introduction of this XML HTTP representation. So what I can say, Ajax calls. So now let's try to see the old representation of this one. So now old representation, how we can do this Ajax call. So let's try to see it. Now we already have this one dummy API call. So we already know this one. So these are the, so now this is the API, a web API URL. So now this one JSON placeholder.type.com/post. So whenever you want to have this URL, so it will give you the list of all posts. That is nothing but the array of objects. So this is an array, and you are getting a list of objects. Okay. So this is the JSON call. So normally the raw data will be like this. Okay. So but I am using the some extension. So that is the reason you are able to see it as a JSON structure. Normally if you try to open it, so you'll be able to see some raw structure like this. So this is the raw structure we will be getting. So now let's try to call this post thing. So as we already seen about this XML HTTP request URL, how we can make this one. So let's try to do that one, how we can do it. So you are able to remember those things. So let's try to do it. To do the Ajax.js. I will try to replace this one, Ajax.js. So we know that first one is the URL. So let's paste this. Oh, sorry. Let's go here and let's paste this URL. Okay. So I have this URL. And here we have the method. So previously we used to do how we can do. So this is a GET request. Okay. Now we need to create an HTTP object. So that is nothing but new XML HTTP request. Okay, so this is the thing we will use to do it. Now HTTP dot, so we will be opening this one, HTTP dot, the thing, HTTP dot send, HTTP dot open or something like that. Yeah, HTTP dot open. We used to open. First we need to send the URL. First one is the method. So here you will be able to see the method and the URL. So first one is the method, means nothing but the method you used to send and the URL we used to send. And here we will send this one. So now successfully we have made the request. Now we need to listen to this HTTP and we need to get the data. So how we can get HTTP dot ready state change. You will be having a method something like ready state on ready state change. So this is a listener. So here you will have a function. Okay, and here you will try to say that if HTTP dot ready state is equal to HTTP dot XML HTTP request dot done. Okay, if it is done, then, or otherwise we can also see, and ampersand we have seen, if you remember these all things. So these are the more we will be doing less often these things. So but I am trying to show you, if it is 200, then we will get an request, a console.log http.response text or something like this. We used to get it, if you remember, I don't know. So let's try to see this output, so whether we can get this output or not. So here it's try to call the data, and let's try to see it. Now here it used to call the data, and we call this one http.response text. So this is the only thing, right? And http is equal to done. When it is done, then http status is http.ready state is the only thing, right? Whether it went it or not. So we'll try to see it. I didn't remember these all things. Long back we have did it. Like this we used to have. Let's try to see time whether it has went it or not. Okay, 3 times it has went it, but why it is not response text? I don't know this, whether it is a response text or not. Let's try to see it in ability tools one time. So now we will try to do upload, on send, with all the things, request, response, headers, on ready state change, ready state status, these all things we have checked. This dot response text function UTP dot send status text. So you are able to see it. This dot ready state and response text. I'm trying to see this one only, right? Okay, sorry, I used to keep this one as a method. Sorry, we used to keep it as a property only. Now if I try to see the post data, response text HTTP first response text, or otherwise we need to keep this response text or what, I didn't remember. No. So something like that we will be doing. So I need to refer it again. Something we have did it the previously. Try to see somewhere we have did it. I didn't remember exactly. 1 second. Check our previous HTTP request objects. Okay, leave it like that. So we will see afterwards. So we have already seen about this one, right? How we can make this HTTP request object, how we have did this one. So this is not our main priority. So this is how we used to make using the JavaScript, using the XML HTTP request object. Now this is the, almost all the browsers will support this one. But now what we will try to do is, I will try to tell you about the main thing. So main thing means nothing but another way of representation. That is nothing but, So we have already seen in the previous classes about this object, XMLHttp object and all those things. Now in the modern browsers which supports this fetch API. So this fetch API is supported by almost all the modern browsers. So recent days we will be using this one only. So this is the reason I explained you, right? So now this XMLHttpRequest is somewhat complex, not complex. It involves lot of lines of code. So this is something like event based. So on ready state change, whenever we have an on ready state change, on load or something like that. So we have some events. We used to call those events and we used to get the data. Now let's say that using the fetch API, how we can do, let's try to see it. So we can have a method fetch and you can add a URL. So like this, you can directly add the URL and you will have a then request. Okay, so then we have already seen the promises. When it is passed there dot then dot catch. When it is fail, you will be using dot then success and you will be using dot catch. Now you can use the function of data. So that thing, but you will get a success response. You will get a response here. And if you try to see, we can do the console.log of response. That's it. So now this is a simple way of implementing the fetch request. If any error comes, means here you can catch the error and you can throw an error. Okay, so this is the simple way of writing a. So most of oftenly we will be writing using this one. So now if you try to do this fetch call, still you are able to call this what I can say fetch call, and we are able to get the response. So here you will be able to get the response. So now if you want to get the data here, so what you will be having is you will be having a now you want to display the data. So now you need to use, so this one will not give a response directly. So now here you need to return response.json, and in return this one will return again what I can say will return again a promise base. Then again you need to use the dot then here function of data. I can use like this. So here I can use the console.log of data. Okay, so now this is the chaining of this. So now here you will be able to see the data C. So this is the simple way how much code we have decreased it. Here what has happened is, so here this is the fetch request. So this one is present automatically inbuilt in the modern browsers. Every browser you will be able to see this fetch method, and you will pass the URL for this one. And here you will be having a dot then request. So now fetch, and it will try to make a call and it will try to return a promise. So promise means it will tell that we already discussed about the promise. So promise means, if you remember, I don't know. So promise means it's nothing but keeping a promise. We are asking that please fetch the details from this URL. So we are telling that fetch the details from this URL. Now fetching the details from this from this URL makes some so takes some time. Why? Because it is a third party JSON placeholder. It is a third party website. So we need to ask the JSON placeholder website, and it needs to give the response. So we don't know how much time it will take. So whether it may be returning very quickly or it may be returning very slow. So it depends. We cannot assume the time. So because of that server thing. So now when you get the data, so now it will tell you that it will not give you fetch. Fetch will not give you the data immediately. So now fetch will not give you the data. Fetch cannot give the data immediately. Why? Because it depends on the third party. So cannot give the data immediately. Instead of returning the data, it will return you a promise. Okay, it will return a promise. Promise means nothing but, so I am promising you that whenever I receive a data, I will send it to you, and you can do whatever you want. So that is the thing it is trying to tell. So now we are saying that, okay, so for example, let's say that I can use it like this. Let data promise. So we didn't get the data here. So we got only the data promised data. So it is telling that, so I will send the data as a promise. Promise means it is giving you the promise. Now what you need to do, so we didn't got the data. Now we need to tell that, we need to say that, so we need to write a code that when this promise is resolved, so that then, so when this fetch data got the data, it will send you as, it already sent you as a promise, right? So it will try to send the data to this promise. Now when I got the data, so you can call a then function and you will get a data here. So you will get the response here. Okay, so you got the response. So got the response. That is what you can also say, it's a response. So now this dot then will execute when it will execute. So whenever you get the successful of data. So now if you try to see again, we are getting the same response. Now this response is nothing but this is the headers and all those things you will be having. In this you will be having the body as a readable string. Now in order to convert this one to a JSON request, you need to say that response.json. So this is a method present in the JavaScript. So now in return, this JSON will return again a promise. So why? Because it will also take some time to convert it to JSON. So response JSON promise. This one is a promise again. Now what you are trying to do here? So this one is also a promise. You are telling that when this one is resolved. So now you are trying that console.log of data. Okay. So now if you try to see the same output, you will get the same output. So now you got the same output, but I have divided this one into a separate thing. First, what you are trying to do, you are trying to fetch the details and you will get a promise. And when this promise is resolved, you will get a response. So when this promise is resolved means when this promise is successful, it will get the data along with you. So now you are capturing the data and now you are converting it to JSON. So JSON in return is a promise again. So this one will return you a promise. Now again, when this JSON is completed, so then when this one is completed, now console.log of data. Instead of writing in 3 lines, what I am trying to do here, so fetch, I will get a data here. So when this one is resolved, so function, so this is the function I am calling again when this one is resolved, and again when this one is resolved, so I am using the same thing here, dot then. So when this one is resolved, so again I will use the data, and here at the top, at the last, I can use the catch thing. Okay, why? Because here I need to use again catch. For each one I need to write the catch. Instead of that one, I can change these all promises like this. So final catch, I can write a catch here. So this is the promise based approach. So this one is looks like somewhat easy. So rather than XMLHttpRequest. So this is a promise based thing. So now asynchronously without any thread hanging, it will go on executing the data. So this is the about the fetch request. So but what is the drawback of this one is this one supports only the modern browsers. That XML object supports in the older browsers also, like IE6 and IE7 like that. So IE11 also doesn't support this promises approach. From this IEH and all those things, latest one supports these all things. So we'll have some external polyfills and all those things in order to overcome this issue. So this is all about this, our JavaScript way of writing of this, calling the data. Now we'll try to see about the jQuery Ajax. So now instead of this one jQuery, so jQuery gives you as a very easy approach to do this one. For example, I will comment out these all the things. Now using the jQuery, how we can do it. So now first we need to write $of document.ready. So there is nothing but function. Inside the function, when everything is loaded, DOM and everything is loaded. So now what you will try to do is you will try to call the Ajax. So $.ajax. So we will call the $.ajax, and here it will take a set of object, or otherwise here you can create an object. Okay, let options. We need to provide the options as an object. So this is an object. Okay. Now what are the options we need to provide here? The first one is the URL. So this is the URL we need to provide. So what is the URL we are having? So this is the URL. Whatever may be the URL. So this is the URL. And the type of request what you are trying to make. So this is a get request. Okay. So put or post or delete, get, anything. What is the type of request you are trying to make it? So when you are trying to learn a web APIs and all those things, then you will be able to understand this type of requests and all those things. So this URL accepts only get request. Okay, that's it. So these are the only things, right? And now you can pass these options to this one. Okay, so you can pass these options to this one. Now, so like this, we can also pass these options. Now what I can do is, so instead of writing this one as a separate thing, so I can also mention it like this. So that is the reason I am trying to tell you. So instead of creating a variable and all those things, I am trying to do like this. So I will try to do one type of scenario. Now, so we are trying to send the URL type and all those things. Now what I want to do is, when this one we got success, when this has been made, call has been made, when you got a success. So this is the success. So when you got a success, so this one will execute console.log of success. Okay. So this is the execute. For example, comma. So these are all options only. So these are all properties, and this is a success callback. And when you have a failure, okay, so you will have an error. So when you got an error, so whenever a problem comes or anything, so you will get a console.log of failure. Okay, error. So for example, when it got completed, so when everything got completed, okay, so when everything got completed, so when everything got completed, so how we can do this one? So let's try to do it. So error, okay, sorry, complete when everything is complete, so you'll do a function. So that's it. So now console.log complete, so we'll do the console.log complete. Okay, so this is why this one is coming expected data. Okay, sorry, semicolon, I need to keep it here. So this is the thing. So now here, what is the thing? So all our things are provided as an options. First one is the URL and what is the type of request we need to provide. When you got a success, what I need to do. When I got an error, what I need to do. When it is complete. Complete means when Ajax call is completed, what I need to do. That means whether it is a success or failure, the complete will execute. Why? Because the Ajax has completed. So whatever may be the result it has returned. So whether maybe it will be a success or error, but it has done the Ajax and everything is completed, then complete will fail. That means whether it may be a success or failure, in both the cases, complete will execute. So now if you try to see the output, so here I'm able to see success and a complete. So that means Ajax success means success, we got the success, and a complete has executed. For example, let's say that I have placed some wrong URL. So some wrong URL, which the URL does not exist. Now you will not get a success. Instead of that one, you will get an error, and again complete will fail. If you try to see the output again, see you got an error and you got a complete. So that means in both the cases, complete will execute. And in the success, you will have a parameter nothing but data or nothing but response. So you can get the response here. And if you try to see the response in the fetch API, we need to convert it into JSON and all those things we'll be doing, right? So here there is no need to convert. Here, let's try to remove this one. Yeah. So there is no need to convert those all the things. Automatically jQuery does that one for us, and we can do it easily. So there is no need to fetch API does the so much of thing. Why? Because it's a browser native thing. So it will give you as a readable stream. So they will convert it to JSON. In return, it will give you a promise. So like this we used to do. But here jQuery does the anything. So this is how we will be doing an Ajax call in the jQuery. So this is very handy method. And also you can mention the content type. So what is the content type you are trying to send it? And also you can send the headers also. So headers you can send it. So for example, hi. So some custom headers like this if you try to send. So now these headers also will be sent here. If you try to see in the network, is this post? Yeah, here is the post. And in the headers, you will be able to see the request headers what I have sent. And somewhere you will be able to see see it again. Response request headers. I used to send it right. I did any wrong or what? Header, sorry, headers I need to keep it, sorry. Yeah. So now if I try to send it, so if you try to see the request headers, yeah, here. So you can send some request headers also will be sent to the server. So that if some of the headers, something like authorization key, so if you have any access to the this URL or not, and all those things, API keys, you can send it as an header. So you can send the data to the request headers to the server, so that it can see that headers who are sending and all those things. By using that one, whether you have an access or not, like this authorization key token and all those things, you can send it through the headers this one. So this is how we will be making an Ajax call. As I already told you, right? So these are callback process. So now you are having a callback and all those things. Not only like this. So jQuery also has another way of implementation. Or Ajax also has another way of implementation. I will try to show you. Same thing. So $.ajax. So you will have the same thing and the same URL. You will call the same URL and you will have the same URL, this URL only. The same URL you can implement it, and here you can use the same type is equal to get. Okay, I have mentioned this one, or otherwise there is no need to mention this one also. So there is no need to mention these all the things also. So you can also use it in another way, in such a way that I can use this one URL. I can send it as a parameter here. Okay, $.ajax of this one, and here I can mention something like .done. So default it will take it as a get request only. .done. You will have a .done. Then you will have a function. Okay, function of data. So there is nothing but the success data. So console.log of data, you can have the response. Okay, and you will have something like dot fail. So you will have dot fail. Okay, so dot fail means error. So you can send it like this, function of error. So you can mention console.log of error. And another one, last one is the complete thing. So for mentioning the complete thing, you have an always. So you can take this always, and you can mention that always print. Okay, so this is also the another way of representation, like promise based thing. So dot then and all those things. You can also use the dot then also, not a problem. So it will also work. So I'm trying to tell you another scenario. So $.ajax dot done. So like this, you can also mention as an object. So whatever the object you are trying to send it, you can also mention it like this. Now if you try to see the output, the same output, you will get the same output. See, now this time always has printed. Why? Because the always is nothing but a complete, something like complete. So whenever it may be a success or failure, this always will execute. So this is also another way, something like promise based approach. Dot like this representation, dot then like this. You can also use dot then also. Not a problem. I think it will work. I think dot then also works in the same way only. So if you try to see here, so dot then also works the same thing. So you can use dot then dot catch like this also, you can use it. So here if you try to show you, it works the same thing. So like this, so jQuery comes in a very handy way, the Ajax call, so which you can do it very easily. Now this is the thing. Now I will also show you some another easy representation of this Ajax call. So now you know that this is an get request. So now JSON provides you a very handy jQuery provides you a very handy method that is nothing but $.get, and you can copy the URL here directly. You can copy this URL $.get. That's it. So and also you can use dot done and dot then. These are all the things you can use it again. So same thing, $.ajax, how it is having handy. So $.get means you cannot provide the options and all those things. It is a get request, directly get request. But here in this Ajax, you can provide this, what I can say, this object URL type and all those things you can provide it. But here you can provide $.get. So like this, you also have another thing, something like $.post, and you will have $.get JSON, so that automatically it will be converted JSON request. So these are all the some handy methods also you'll be having. So if you want, you can also check in the jQuery website. And the another thing, so before moving into this one, so one important thing I want to tell you is the global events. Okay, so what are these global events in an Ajax call? So for example, let's say that I'll try to remove these all things. So we are having a simple Ajax call. Okay, $.get of, so this is a get request, and here I can use dot then, so function. So simply we can write it way however we want, you can do it. So now I can use this console.log of response. Okay, I can use it like this. Now if I try to see the output, so then also I'm able to get the output, not a problem. Now if I want to do something like before starting, okay, so now what I am trying to do, for example, if I want to try something like what I can say, so let's say that $.ajax, you use $.ajax, and what I can say, some of the common things are there. Let's say that you are having an URL and you are having headers. Okay, so you want to send these headers and all those things. So hi is equal to Leela. So this is the header we want to send it. For any Ajax calls, so whatever the Ajax calls we are trying to make it, so we will be doing like this, right? So we will be doing another Ajax call like this, we will be doing. Now this one is common, headers thing is common, or otherwise let's say that we have a catch thing. So whenever a catch error occurs, so whenever an error occurs, so I need to write this catch thing all the time. I need to write this catch thing. So that means whenever a fail occurs means I need to catch that error thing. I need to show some error thing. And whenever another Ajax call comes, I need to write again catch and all those things. We need to write it. Or otherwise one success. So whenever an Ajax success is there, I need to do some additional functionality, so that whenever a success is there in each Ajax call, I need to write some common code. So in order to overcome this one, so we have some global events for the Ajax call. So those are nothing but some of the events are there. So I will try to tell you. First one is an Ajax start. Okay, so this Ajax start is called when first Ajax call is made. When first Ajax call is made, it will try to do it. So when first Ajax call is there, it will invoke, and then afterwards only Ajax call will make. So now another one is an Ajax stop. Okay. So when the last Ajax call is completed, then Ajax stop function will fire. So next one will be an Ajax send. So Ajax send means so executes before each Ajax request. So each Ajax request, when each Ajax request is executing, so it will execute this Ajax send. 1 second. Silent one. So this is the Ajax send. So Ajax send will fire before each Ajax request begins. Okay. So last one is an Ajax complete. Sorry, Ajax success. Another one we have something like Ajax success. So whenever each Ajax request got success, this one will fire. And another one is an Ajax complete. So these are the different types of events. So we'll be having in each events. Each Ajax request completes, it will try to fire it. Okay. Now Ajax error. So whenever you are having an error, each Ajax request you are having an error means, so this one will fire. So these are the different types of global events you will be having. So first I will try to show you. So for one I will try to show you, then you will understand. So this is an Ajax call we are having, right? So let's say that before executing this Ajax call, I want to do something means, so you can have something like $.document.ready. Sorry, not ready. Sorry, I forgot. Ajax start. So you'll be having these all the methods. See. So now here you can use this Ajax start, and this one is the function. And here you can write something like console.log Ajax started. Okay. So when it is started, this one will execute. Now let's say that $of document. So we will be applying to this one to a document. Ajax stop. So when Ajax is completed, so when this complete Ajax is completed or success or anything, so this one will fire. So console.log Ajax stop. So this is something like used as an interceptor. So now we can use it, this one. So you can also use something like success. Okay. So first I will try to show you this one, then we will understand it. So now this is the request, right? So whenever you do, see Ajax started, Ajax stop, and we got the response here. Okay. So this is how we will be making this one. Sorry. Yeah. So this is how we will be making the request. So now when the Ajax success is completed, so now we will be able to get. So now for example, when you try to do Ajax success, so then you will get an Ajax success. So like this, we will be able to do it. For example, if I try to do another Ajax call here. Okay. So now let's try to see it. So here Ajax started and Ajax stopped. So this is executing only once. So started is executing only once, and Ajax stopped. So when this Ajax is completed, so this has been stopped here. So this has been stopped here. And again, it is not firing. Everything is not firing. Why? Because this is a complete thing. This is another Ajax call. Because of that reason, it is not firing. For example, so when this one is success, again, I need to make an Ajax call like this. So if you try to do it here, then you will understand. See? So now you are able to fire it all the tags. So like this, you will be able to do it. For example, let's say that Ajax success. So you will be having something like, so whenever you are having an Ajax started and all those things, so you'll be doing like this. Now let's try to say, I will try to do something. Yeah, so these are the things you'll try to do it. Ajax start, no, so Ajax start and also Ajax success. If you try to do this Ajax success, okay, so this is Ajax success. Now you can see this one. Whenever you are getting an Ajax success, so now you'll be able to see it. So now here we'll be able to see that whenever we are getting an Ajax success, so here we are able to see it. See Ajax success. That means 2 times we got the success, and whenever any Ajax call is getting success, so this success will execute automatically. So that means this will handle as a global events, that whenever any Ajax call in your project or in your application is completed or got success means, so you can fire this one. So now you can get the data here, and also here you can submit the data here. So you will get the data, same data, and you can do whatever thing. So globally, if you want to do here getting the response thing, instead of writing dot then like this, so you can have this global thing, and you can play around with this one automatically. Okay, I changed it to response and I am using like data. Okay, so here you'll be able to see the Ajax response, so event you are getting and all those things you'll be able to handle it. So you'll be having some extra data, something like that. You'll be able to have Ajax success. If you try to see in our jQuery, things are less often we'll be using. You'll be having some couple of parameters. The Ajax success, you'll be getting handler. So here you'll be having function, event, XHR, plain object, and then also plain object. Okay, you will be having 4 options you will be getting, and you can play around with this one, event, XHR, settings, and also the data you'll be having. So you can trigger the data, whatever the things you want. So like this you will be using, this success stop Ajax start. So now you can no need to have this response then thing, and you can write it in one place that. So here they are telling that event you will get, another one is an XHR object, then again they are telling the settings, and last one they are saying the data. Let's try to see these all the things. So if you print one by one, you'll be able to understand it. So now here we are able to get the data. See, so this time I have removed all the then requests are not there. So we have written a globally one place that Ajax success happened. So we are able to get what is the type, which Ajax call has been got success. You can get it from these things, and the data is the 4th parameter, so that you can do the response thing, whatever thing you want. So like this, the global event, whenever the Ajax is started, so you can start the loader here instead of writing all the places. So like this you can do it, all the things. So these are about the global events which I want to mention you. And the last one which I want to tell you is, for example, let's say that, so this is somewhat deferred object. So I'm trying the last one which I want to tell you, one of the important concept is not important concept, so which we will be doing more often. So these are all the things which we'll be doing more often. Another important concept what I want to tell you is the deferred object. So what is a deferred object? So they will so all the time people will be asking me for deferred object. So deferred object means nothing but it is a chainable object. Okay, it is a wrapper. So nothing but it is a wrapper. In jQuery only it will be there. It is a wrapper around a promise. Okay, it is a wrapper around a promise. So this is a wrapper around a promise, and it will give you a custom promise that which we can resolve it, reject it, or fulfill it. Whatever the thing you want to use, you can use it. I will try to show you the scenario. For example, let's say that you have a $.get. Okay, so this post thing. So I have this post thing. So whenever this one is got success, okay, dot then or dot function, anything. So whenever you got this function success, so you will do the console.log of data. So this is a common thing. So you got the response. So you can do it whatever you want. So you can bind it to this one. So you whatever you want, you can do it. So now you got the response. Now by getting this response, I want to make another call. So here I will try to do again $.get of something like this. I will try to do. So I want to get the posts of one detail. Now again I will try to use the then. So dot function. So when this one is got success, when we successfully get the data from the server, by using that data we need to call again. So for example, let's say that, so we got the successfully post. Now here I need to take this user ID of 1, okay, or otherwise ID of 1, I need to call it. So for that means, so here I can write something like so take the data of 0.id. So I am taking the first one .id, that means post/1, and again I am trying to make a response. So again I will try to do the dot then of response, and I will try to do the console.log of response. Okay, so this is the thing what I have tried it function. Yeah. So now if you try to see the output, so So now we are able to get it. So you post all details, we got the post all details. It took the ID of one and it has given the ID. So user first user details. So now nothing but the same details. So this one is the body queue, something like that. It has given the details of only first user. So that is the only details which I have got it here. For example, if I want to, you get the second details means first you need to get all the post details. Then afterwards I will need to call it. And then I will get the user ID of 2. So like this we used to make it. Now if you try to see here, again if I want to make, so by getting this post 1 detail, I want to get another call I want to make it means again I need to go here. Inside this one again I need to write again another. So again you will have a dot then request like this. So that means, so you are going into a chaining reaction in such a way that, so sometimes if you try to see here, so this one will become a complex. So here I am writing a single line of code, but in dot then you will have some multiple lines of code, and again you will have some multiple lines of code here. So for this then again you will have some multiple lines of code. Like this you will be having chaining of these things. Okay, so in order to overcome this one, so we can use this deferred object. So what is this deferred object and how we can overcome this one? Let's try to see. So this is a chaining thing we have seen, right? Problem. So maintenance of the code will become issue. So now what I can do is here, so I can create a variable, so $.deferred. Okay, so I can call this one. So now this $.deferred, whenever I call this $.deferred, so it will give us a promise. Okay, this one will return as a promise. Okay, so now what I can do here, so this will return as a promise. Now def.then, so I can use this, as this one is a promise, I can use the then function here. So now I can use something like function of response. Oh sorry, function. This one will take a function, and I can use the same thing, $.get of this one. Okay, so slash post, I can take this slash post. So now here, so this one is a chaining. Again I can use dot then. Again this one is a function. Okay, so you will get a response here. So here I can use the same thing. So here you can use the same thing, data, and you can call it like this. And again if you have another one, you can use dot then here. So like this you can write it. Now at the last what you will try to do, so def.resolve. Okay, so now you are resolving. Now it will try to execute it. Now if you try to see the output, so now we are able to see, read properties of then function of data. What it is trying to do, so whether we are able to get the data or not. Getting it is undefined. Okay, I need to return it, this one, sorry. So I need to return. Okay, so we need to return the promise, right? Now I got the same data here. So now we'll get this for same thing. Now when this one is resolved, so you can use dot then of function. So you will get the single post here again. So you can use it here, console.log of single post. Like this we can use it. Now we'll be able to get the same output, but we have written in such a way that, so now we are not using the nested thing. So this is one set and this is one set, and like this we can go easily one by one set, such that so there is no nested loop of something like going inside, like this we are not using like this. So deferred object will be used as a wrapper, and this one will create a promise for us so that we can create a nested then loops, and last you will try to resolve it so that this all then will execute this one. So this is about this jQuery Ajax deferred thing. Okay, so now today what we have learned, so you need to understand it. To practice it, you will understand very easily. So now here we have learned about the jQuery Ajax implementation using the $.ajax. Okay, so you can pass the options. So if you want to see the options, you can see $.ajax. If you try to search in jQuery, you will find so many options will be there. So here if you try to see this one, so these are all the options you will be able to see. Async, before send, cache, complete we have seen, contents, content type we have seen, context, converters, cross domain data, so data filter, data type, these all the different types of things are there which we can which we can use it in our options object. Now we have seen about the shorthand notation, that is nothing but $.get. These all the things also we have seen it. And we have seen about the deferred object. Okay, deferred object. What is the deferred object? We have seen it. And also we have seen about the global events. How we can use the global events like Ajax start, Ajax success. So these are the different ways using as an HTTP interceptors, how we can do it. And the last one what I want to tell you is, before closing this session, for example, let's say that I am having a div id is equal to header. So let's say that I am having a new one, hi.html. Okay, so here in this one we are having something like div hi Leela. Okay, something like this we are having data. So now think that this one is the outside one. Okay, think that this is an outside URL. If you try to see the thing here, this is the thing, right? If you try to see hi.html, you will be able to see the data. Okay, so this one, right? But think of this one as an outside URL. So if you want, you can also take this URL. So now I want to make a Ajax call to this HTML file, and I want to load the data. Whatever the HTML I am getting, I want to load it in between this one. So how can I do this one is, so we can do it using $.load. Okay, so we have a method $.load, and where we need to place this one in the header. So I can use it something like $hash of header $.load, and I can use this one like this. That's it. So now if you try to see here, so here you will be able to place the hi Leela. See, so previously we don't have that one. So now we are able to place this one. So now if I try to change the data, whatever the data I have here, for example, let's say I am doing some data here. If you try to see here, so now here it has been placed. Now it has been making a request here hi.html, and it is getting the response. And whatever the response you are having, automatically it is pasting here for you in between this header. So how we have did it here, $hash header .load. Load means it will try to get the data, and when you are using .load, it knows that the response for this one is nothing but an HTML response. Automatically it will place that one in this header. So this is also some of the handy methods which you will be able to find in the Ajax thing. So many handy methods are there, which we cannot go on discussing about this one. But the main underlying fundamentals inside this Ajax thing, so we need to understand it. So this is all about this jQuery Ajax. So we have learned the different ways of Ajax calls. That is nothing but, first one is an XMLHttpRequest. Okay, which we have seen it long back itself when we are learning this JavaScript sessions and all those things. We have learned about this one. And the next one is the fetch API. And now we have seen about this $.Ajax request or $.get, whatever the thing, whichever is handy for you, you can use it. So these are the different methods. How we can call these things, what I can say, Ajax calls, how we can make the Ajax request and all those things we can do using this jQuery Ajax. This is all about this jQuery Ajax thing.